My name is Jeremy Thomas, and I've been involved with the Harbour all my life, one way and the other. For the last 20 years, involved with the Conservancy, 5 years chairing the Advisory Committee, and now chairing the Chichester Harbour Trust. But my earliest memory goes a long way back, actually, 74 years, I suppose, to 1936. And I was 5 years old, and I had an Uncle Graham Humby, who had a little boat that he'd built with an old Anzani engine, outboard engine in the back, and young Jeremy perched up in the bows to keep the bows down. And we went round from the West Beach at Chelsea on a very calm day, round to the mouth of the harbour. And from West Beach I'd always seen, as a tiny little boy, the yachts, the white sails coming into the harbour, and I'd longed to see where they went. It looked as though they were disappearing into the green, into the earth. Well, in we went into the harbour, upstream, up to Del Quay. But I wanted to go and look at the Bosom Channel as well. And Uncle Graham said, no, tide started to ebb. We've got to get back to Chelsea. And that was my very first memory. And as we went past Deep End, I think it was, I saw a guy in a dinghy catching a bass, a big bass. And I've always kept that memory. And I think the next one really was at the end of the war. We biked over again from Chelsea. And there was an MTB in the lock in the channel, getting ready for sea. And that stirred my interest. And then the wonderful day came when Uncle Graham gave to me and my cousins his little dinghy called Penguin, and it was a 12-foot Chichester Harbour restricted class dinghy, F2. And we took along, well, my grandfather did actually, to Darley's, the boat builders at Itchenor, and he did her up beautifully with blue topside, black varnish on the bottom, new set of sails, £60. We launched her at Itchenor. We first lived in a bell tent in the old farm at Itchenor, and our parents had given us a huge frying pan filled with bubble and squeak, and we lived on this for about a week. It smelt a bit by the end, but we used to go and have second helpings of mashed potatoes, I remember, in the club, and we raced against the scows as cadets, all wood in those days, no plastic. And then the great day came when we got, for £100, a Firefly, 12-foot Firefly dinghy. And this was wonderful, and we raced up and down the harbour all that time. But in those very first post-war 45, 46 years, the whole side of the reach, of the Itchenor Reach, was filled with old landing barges, motor torpedo boats, motor gun boats, harbour defence MLs. There was very little in the way of yacht chandlery. There was Tufnol came in about 1947-8. Everything was either wooden or metal blocks, no nylon ropes. So those were some of the early memories of a harbour that was not filled with boats. My old friend Martin Beale, who was one of the founders of the Conservancy when that was set up in 1971, and who lived at Cobner House at the mouth of the Bosom Channel, said when he was a boy there were only half a dozen yachts moored in the Bosom Channel. But the other and final early memory which I had was I was in the Foreign Service, and if one was stuck in a miserable place in the Cold War like Belgrade in the 60s, I would comfort myself by the memory of looking up the channel from Cobner, up the channel to the Downs with the spire, with the Bosom Church and the quay, and that was a great comfort. And so the harbour for me has always been somewhere very special and worth looking after.